All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is the North Court, and today we're bringing you episode 2 of our podcast. I'll be your host today. My name is Anas. To my right,
Sujil.
Welcome back. This is Raheel.
And Usama.
sounds good. So, just before we get started, I want to appreciate everybody that took the time to listen to episode 1. You know, there were some kinks here and there, but we got it out there for y'all. And
We did,
you know, and
out to the public for everybody to hear.
yo,
Available everywhere.
there were some butterflies for sure.
I mean, I didn't even know. Y'all just put it up, and I found out later.
Yeah, so he fell asleep and everything happened, and he woke up the next morning.
I just seen it on. I saw it everywhere. YouTube,
Yeah.
Spotify, some random streams. I mean, if you're listening to it there, thank you. But I don't know where else you guys put it.
Yeah, I thought like if I didn't do it now, we were just gonna keep delaying it, and I just thought we just had to like.
That's true,
Let's
and
do it.
I'm glad you guys didn't ask my opinion because I would have said, "Yo, hold up, yo,
Yeah.
I don't know if it should go out there just yet."
Yeah.
But that's part of the process, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning, it might not be the best, but
Yeah.
you know, if you keep doing it, you're practicing, just like you practice anything else, it gets better eventually,
Yeah.
right?
You know, we hope to bring you guys content every week, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this episode as well. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Strict parents, do y'all have them? How does it feel to have them? You know, how do you experience it? What are the good, the bad? What's the ugly about it? I mean, let me start with Raheel. I want to hear his opinion.
Honestly, I feel like I should go last because I think I might have the
The most to say?
not the most to say, but I think I might have the most different experience.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, so-
with my parents, right, in relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
So I don't know who wants to go first.
Osama, I think this is your calling, man.
Honestly, like,
But hold on, before
Yeah.
you go ahead, what are we talking strict parents? What do you mean when you say strict parents?
So strict, like, you know, in the general sense of the term, it doesn't have to be necessarily be like somebody beating you or like.
No, we're not talking about anything
that.
illegal.
Future sponsors.
No,
I know, I know.
We don't.
Okay.
Our parents are nice to us.
Yeah,
Don't call
well,
child support.
right? I think we grew up on the end of that era of like
Beating your kid.
Yeah, I
like
think
the Russell Peters beating your kids era.
Yeah, I think we're at the end of that, right?
I think you're right. I think that's like too much power for kids nowadays.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Osama, I sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
honestly, like, if I look back to my experience growing up, my parents were strict, but like, I think there has to be limits for when you're raising a child. There has to be lines or whatever that are drawn early on for the well-being of like the family and just the child in general.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't think it was like overdone. It was reasonable. Of course, like at times, you know, you get mad at your parents saying like, yo, this is too much, I can't deal with it or whatever. And like, of course I had those days, you know,
Yeah.
where I'd be mad like about their decisions on whatever decision they made for me. I'd be mad. But like, you know, as you grow up, you come to appreciate like what they've done,
Mm-hmm.
even though in the moment some of the decisions that they made seem wrong or seem like, oh, these are, you know, really negative or like it's gonna have a bad effect on my life.
Yeah.
So you don't
It
regret.
was-
You don't like. There's no regret on how they raise you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm fairly happy with the way I was raised, and
You wouldn't change anything
no, I don't think I would.
at all. Like maybe later curfew, be able to travel more, go on school, like a specific school trip that you weren't allowed to go on.
Honestly, no. I mean, I guess that's just how I was raised. Like in the moment, or even now, like I don't really regret the fact like I wasn't allowed to go on certain trips or whatever. Like I don't know, I was okay with it, and
Yeah.
I still am.
Okay.
I guess that's just how he was raised.
Yeah.
To feel that's fine now too, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that he's grown out of, or that, because if it was a regret, he wouldn't feel the same way right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think like I was fairly social, and like, you know, I was allowed to do things like that I've done, and like, and even like the people, like friends that I have or whatever. Like it's a good I have a good set of friends.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, like, if I was allowed to go out or whatever, like, you know, do things, like, do more social things,
Yeah.
I would have more friends. But, of course, like, I don't really think the number of friends that you
Yeah.
have says anything about you. Like,
Yeah.
you know, in
More
fact,
friends,
like, I
more
think-
problems, right?
Yeah, in fact, like, I think,
This
I
guy's
think
back at it
having
again.
I think having a
All this,
smaller
all that.
circle is a good thing.
Okay. So Jill, what about you?
I feel like I was raised well, like in terms of strictness. My parents weren't too strict on me. Like if I explained something to them in terms of like how I feel about it,
Yeah.
they were quite lenient. Like especially my dad. My mom was a little more on the strict side, but I guess I knew where she came from as well.
Mother's love, right? You got to be
exactly.
protective.
I mean, if you ask me now, like yeah, I've gotten mad in the past,
Yeah.
but I see where she comes from now as I get older.
Of course.
I don't blame her. So it was good. I got to experience a lot of things. I do wish I could have experienced a little more, but I mean, I got life ahead, hopefully, to do all that.
Hopefully. What about you, Raheel?
I don't think you guys will be jealous of this because, I realize, you know, it hasn't done me the greatest. It hasn't done me too much good. I mean, it's been all right, but for me, I don't feel like my parents have been strict like at all, to levels where it's like, yo, you probably should have said something, dog. Yo, I don't know if I should be doing this right now.
Like, do you even care about me?
Yo,
while everybody else is getting phone calls to come home, Raheel's like
Exactly.
looking at his phone. This is mad
damn.
dry.
Nobody gonna call.
He's like, damn,
Nope.
this is early for me.
Yo, mom, it's like 11 p.m. You're not gonna call me, ask me where I'm at? What if I'm on the street? And I was.
Yo,
And
Raheel's
I
meant for
was.
the streets.
I don't think it did me too bad because it let me explore a lot, right? Like I got to, you know, travel on my own in Canada, right? Go all the way West Coast alone, go all the way to Quebec for a month alone, right? As part of it like a school program or whatever, but you know, I got to go there as like a teenager, you know? So that's you know, the freedoms I was given were different from a lot of people, but I think that's also related to how my parents evolved their parenting style as they, you know, went through 3 other kids, right? My sister first, my brother second, and then my other brother. So they evolved their parenting style throughout each child. And when they got to me, they're like, I guess we'll just give him a little bit more freedom because, you know, not being too strict on the other ones was kind of difficult for them and for the child. So they're like,
You know what I think
take it a
happened,
little
right?
easy.
You know what I think happened? So I noticed something as I was asking these questions, and I noticed that so your eldest sibling is your sister?
Yes.
Okay. So your
10 years older.
Yeah. And Osama's has
Same thing.
3 older sisters.
Right.
You know, I have 2 older sisters.
Yeah.
And Sajil's eldest sibling is his sister as well.
Yeah,
She's 10
So-
years older than him too, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So I
No,
think
actually, older.
Oh, older.
My brother's
right.
10 years
Right,
older.
because your sister is my sister's age, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to get at is that I feel like they learned a lot from trying to raise like, you know, a daughter,
Right.
and depending on how that, you know, went for them in their eyes,
Right.
that really trickled down into their future kids. The strictness went down or went up or stayed the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in my situation, I think it stayed around the same.
Uh-huh.
Maybe got less strict a little bit, I would say.
You think your sister had to go through more strict parents than you did?
Definitely.
What about you, Osama?
I think it's around the same for me.
You think you and your older siblings experienced the same level of strictness?
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, your
Um,
parents had a checklist then. Like, all right,
Yeah,
we're keeping it consistent.
Yeah, because
right?
I mean,
It's got to be fair,
it's
right?
just like, yeah, when I see things like I go to my parents, I'm like, yo, what is this? You know, if I'm not allowed to do something, then they shouldn't be allowed to do something. And
So I think in our case, right, like in your case too, right, were they more strict on your sister?
He's
and
pointing,
your brother
he's
than
pointing
were
to
you?
Sajil. He's pointing
Yeah,
to
definitely were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's if you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's your parents' first time being parents
Yeah.
with their first child.
Yeah.
It's a learning process for them as
It's
well.
a learning process, and the second child, it's not like, all right, let me give this another shot. It's like, no, you still have to deal with the first sibling,
Plus-
plus the second sibling.
Yeah.
So now your parenting styles are different.
Yeah.
For
like a tweaked a little.
would they separate it? Like I think it was for me. It was separate. Like they wouldn't treat me the same that they did my older siblings.
Yeah, no.
Like
No.
that's what I observed.
I guess that happens naturally for them as well, right?
right.
A lot of us, I mean, no, all of us are the youngest. So
That's
like
true.
yeah,
that-
That is actually true.
that comes with it too. Like, you know, like where they are strict to the older child, like more on things, they're maybe less to us.
Because we're the youngest.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think
Like
that's a lot of like how nervous you have to be having a child. right? That's pretty like nerve wracking, no?
You know, now that I think about it, you know how they say two snowflakes aren't the same?
You deal with children too.
Two children haven't been raised the same either. The same siblings.
Yeah,
Because you
true.
can't. It's impossible.
it's impossible.
But, you know, you have to understand that the decisions they make and the way that they make them is really for, like, for the most part, it's for our well-being, right?
Yeah,
Even though we, like, growing up, we may think that, no, I know better. I'm
like especially when we had like immigrant parents.
Yeah.
You would think that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
oh, what do they know about the Canadian society? Like, I'm being raised here, right?
yeah.
right.
Majority of the time, that's how it is.
Yeah,
you
like-
think, no, I know my friends can do it. Why can't I?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You would. I'm pretty sure like we would all agree like they've been right majority of the time.
Oh yeah,
More than majority.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
There's a lot of things they said in the past that resonate with me now that I'm older, right?
Mhm.
But at the time, I was like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is I know what I'm doing.
yeah.
Relax.
Let
I
it
was,
be.
like, come on.
So the thing is, you know, we all notice our parents, there's some things that they wouldn't let us do that just seem like normal. I've noticed that other parents, even though their kids are like perfectly normal, I would say, like in terms of, you know, not doing anything bad, and they don't actually do anything. I don't know how you would want to, categorize that, but they're just, you know, straight kids, right? And their parents let them out till like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I'm talking, this was in like high school. And they would just be like walking around the neighborhood at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I'm like, bro, I'm sleeping at 2 a.m., 3
Yeah.
a.m. What are you doing outside at 2 a.m., 3 a.m.?
Why would you need to be out at that
No,
time?
that's the thing, right? Like for me as a kid, I was like, bro, I want what he has.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly.
the
And we
thi-
pushed for it.
Yeah, we pushed for it. Like, yo,
Yeah.
I remember my like in high school, that's when I finally started getting some freedoms. Like I was working in grade 10, grade 11. I was able to get a phone. So like, you know, freedom started increasing
Right.
later hours.
That's not a. We're not talking about the company freedom, by the way.
Cell phone provider.
All right, that was a bad joke.
Okay.
It was. We don't talk about that.
don't
We're
talk
gonna
about
we're gonna
freedom.
pretend like he didn't say that.
Definitely.
That
didn't just happen.
Okay.
So, you know, we always want, you know, what the other person has, and then we almost get like irritant to the point like where we don't have it.
Right.
Yeah, you're not at peace until you actually achieve that.
Yeah, and then when you get it, it's like, yo, this wasn't as good as I thought it was. Yeah, I'm out at 2 a.m., but I'm kind of tired. Like, I want to go
Yeah.
home and sleep.
And then you feel bad for like pushing your parents to give you it, or
yeah,
whatever, right?
like for keeping them up.
Like
Probably-
I remember.
they're probably worried sick right now,
Especially your
Yeah.
mothers.
especially mothers.
They're always the ones out.
Dads will fall
Like-
asleep, but like moms will stay up.
Like I remember watching like TV ads. The kids in the ads like seem so happy, like, oh, they got this new car or whatever it is, right? And then like legit, like I would like push my parents, like, yo, I want this, like, you know,
Yeah,
to get me or whatever. And like 2 weeks later, like the toy is just like, you know, there. I'm not like, it doesn't change anything.
doesn't.
Or nowhere to
In
be
the-
found.
Yeah, like so like
then you want the new toy.
yeah, exactly. So like it's just a cycle. I guess you'll never really be done.
Yeah,
And
But-
that's part of their parenting, right?
Yeah.
Their parenting has to be, hey, we know this won't make you happy for that long, right? We might get it for you to get you to shut up, but like it has to stop. Like, you know, this toy's
Yeah,
not
we
gonna
can't
make you that
spoil
happy.
you.
We're not spoiling you,
Yeah.
right? And that's the strictness. That's where the strictness.
I guess that's where
comes in.
discipline also comes in.
Yeah, that's like discipline comes in too,
Yeah.
right?
one thing though, like I guess we all have semi-strict or somewhat strict parents, and I'm pretty sure
Except me.
everybody has like a certain level of strict.
Except me.
Okay, except Rahil. He had like the
He's special. Privileged.
most relaxed parents of our lifetime.
Okay, there's a few rules though. There were still rules which allowed them to be less strict, though.
Okay, so
And we negotiated those rules.
Oh,
you
right.
negotiated with your parents.
Yeah, and that's
How did
part
that
of,
go down?
that's part of them going through 3 children where
Okay.
they had no rules, no negotiations,
Yeah,
and then they tried negotiations with me,
yeah,
right? And the negotiations were, if you're out past a certain time, you text us, you let us know, right?
okay, sounds right.
Another one was before you go, tell us where you're going and sometimes maybe who you're with. But and
Sometimes. I mean,
before I used to take this as an advantage, right? Because I could just say anything. I could, like, as bad as it sound, I used to lie, like I'm going out with whoever,
Yeah,
and they
Mhm.
they know them, and they say they're a good kid. They're usually not going to call the parents and say, hey,
Is my kid out with yours?
was my son with your was my son with your son?
It happens sometimes though.
It does happen.
You
sometimes.
never know though. Sometimes that child might have also said they're out with you, but you're both not together.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Like
Are you even friends?
I've been used like that too. Like I'm sure, like I know people have used my name.
Yeah, to get out.
To get out of the house.
Yeah.
Right. And like in turn, the same thing. I've done the same thing. Right. I've used someone else's name. I've used Usama's name sometimes. I'm pretty sure to get out the house.
Wow.
Right.
Was
I
this
think
like
I've used Dennis's as well.
But this was
A
a
lot
I
of
always
people
use
have-
honest, bro. Like,
a lot of people
anytime.
have used my name. People I don't even know use my name still.
Yeah, to get out the house.
Like even right now, I just
And
told
even
mom,
right
so-
now?
teeth again.
I don't even have your
Yeah,
number.
that's
How are
true.
you using my name? That's the only way. That was the key to getting out. But but now, like, it's the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Eventually, I got to a point where I wasn't lying about what I'm doing because I'm not into those things that I used to do. We can
Mhm.
get into those on another podcast.
Later.
We can get into those on another podcast.
Maybe when we feel more comfortable
about what I
this.
was doing and lying to my parents about. But I feel like every kid goes through that phase where they're doing the wrong thing. But
You want to
time.
rebel?
It takes time to like figure that out. That's what I did. Now I tell them the truth. I tell them exactly where I'm going, approximately how long. If it goes too late,
I mean,
I
now
text
you have
them.
a bedtime, bro.
that's
like,
He
my
said that
bad.
himself.
Like-
He said that.
My
himself.
parents didn't set a bedtime for me.
Even
I said it
then, when we're
myself.
out quite late, well, quite late as in 9, 10 p.m.,
Yeah, we don't have any reason to be out past 11, 12.
we get calls, but we're still not getting calls.
Yeah,
You know
don't
what I
get
mean?
calls.
I got a lot of calls, but yeah.
A
Yeah.
You
little-
get calls the
little
second
tool,
you
my
walk out
goodness.
your house.
Yeah.
You're a different
Oh my
story.
goodness, that's ridiculous. Yeah, we're talking about strict parents. Osama's parents call him like how many times in a night?
In the night, what?
Like
We're not out the whole night, bro.
Okay,
All right. Okay. Past 9 p.m., he's getting like 5 calls an hour.
5 calls,
5 calls.
That's just calls we're talking
Give or
about.
take 2.
give or take 2. Maybe like
No,
an angry
give
On
text.
an
two.
average.
Give 2. Definitely
Oh,
not
okay,
taking
definitely.
2. Definitely not taking 2. Give 2.
So like 5 to
How many
7.
texts?
Ooh. Especially when he doesn't pick up.
Oh, I don't think we should
I
get
can see
started.
the caps lock
Yo.
on his phone just going.
Okay, we'll talk about this later.
But I've known people who like I know someone whose parents are almost as strict as yours, and he'll get multiple calls.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, the dumbest thing he did was turn off his phone.
Oh,
That's the worst.
I've never done
you should
that.
never do
I've
that
never
because
done
your
that yet,
parents
but-
are like freaking out and they just want to know
Yeah.
if you're safe.
So see, that's where too strict comes into play. Your
Mhm.
parents are now too strict,
That
where you
you-
feel the need to turn off your phone.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you don't want to talk to them.
You
You don't want to
wanna-
explain anything to them.
Yeah,
probably because you're doing something wrong, but still,
but
Most
still,
definitely.
your parents are that strict that you don't want to explain to them because of what might happen, the repercussions of being
Yeah.
out that late or not knowing where you are.
yeah,
But that's like that's mad stressful on your parents too, because they're wondering like,
where you're
I'm
at for
calling
that
this
long,
guy,
man.
he turned his phone off.
yeah.
Where's he at? I gotta call this person, that person.
Like the thing is, like, okay, so I've been on the other side of it, right? Like when my sister's out and she's not picking up,
right.
and I'm just like, I'm in the situation, right, where like my parents are thinking the same thing when they're calling me. I'm calling my sister, and like I get worried too. I'm like, what are they doing? Or like, why aren't they replying?
Yeah, I get that. It makes sense. It's like when your parents go to the grocery store and you call them and they said they'd be back within an hour and you call them and now you're having all these scenarios in your head because they're not back and it's like at 61 minutes and they should have been back in 60. And now you're
Okay,
like,
not
yo,
even-
where they
not
at?
just
Where
1
they-
minute, but like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but the thought comes into your head immediately after, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
They should have been home by now.
should have been home right now.
Yeah, you get worried, like,
So my question is, do you guys think that children who are raised in these like super strict environments, do you think they turn out worse or more rebellious than kids who were raised in like maybe less strict,
Moderate, strict.
moderately strict environments?
Disciplined.
Discipline,
Yeah,
discipline.
I'd say even the word using the word strict is like it's wrong. Like
Yeah.
you should use discipline.
Because
right?
I feel like I was disciplined. I wasn't.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
weren't
yeah.
strict on me.
So compared to disciplined environments, do you think they come out worse or more rebellious, or they come out as like
it honestly depends on what the parents are strict about, right?
in general, like
Like-
overall strictness? It's like overall strictness is
How you feel like towards your parents.
So overall strictness, right? like for anything, whether it's going out during the day, you have to tell them where you're going, phone numbers of who's going with you or who's going with you at all, phone numbers of their parents, right? And also, going to trips or going to school trips, going out with different friends, same, like all that overall strictness.
I feel like that strict parents, like, if you don't realize as you get older that maybe they were doing it for my benefit, then you'll grow to hate your parents in a way.
Oh, for sure.
But
when you
if
feel like you're missing out.
Yeah. Like, personally, I grew up, and like as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize the reasoning behind every single decision that my parents made with, like, for me, or in terms of like me asking them for anything. And I think it was a reasonable decision they made based on what they know and how they feel or felt at that time.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're not feeling the same way I'm feeling, in terms of like you have that in the back of your head that no, they did have a reason to treat me that way or say those things to me or not give me permission to do such things, then you won't feel like it was strict. You'll feel like you were disciplined. But now if you feel like your parents kept you from life in a way, which some kids do feel,
yeah, for sure,
then I feel like you'll grow to hate your parents.
Because if they don't let you make the reasonable mistakes, right,
exactly,
in your life, you're gonna end up making bigger mistakes later on.
Yeah, you're not gonna learn.
There's no growth.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you like, there's an age range where you're allowed to make mistakes,
for sure,
big mistakes,
for sure,
and it won't affect your life at all.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what they say. Like, start a business in your 20s, right? Because you're allowed to make mistakes. But as soon as you get to like a certain age, those are business mistakes. But like life mistakes, I think you should be making them when you're like 10 to 20.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Once you start making those mistakes in your 20s,
it's a habit.
You're ruining the rest of your life. It's like
it's a cycle.
Yeah. So your parents can't be too strict where they're not letting you make those mistakes in your, your early life, because eventually you're going to rebel and you're going to make horrible mistakes
later on because you felt like you missed out earlier in your life. So now you're making up for those years, those lost years.
Exactly.
You're going to be doing what people did
in their 20s, in their teens.
In their teens.
Yeah.
While you're in like your late 20s, maybe 30s.
Yeah.
Isn't that what they call midlife crisis, or is that something else?
I mean, midlife is later, but I guess it's sort of similar.
What is midlife? Like 30?
Midlife is like I would say 40s.
40s.
I'd say mid 30s.
Mid 30s.
I'd say 30, bro. I think it's 30 because once you're 60, every year is like a blessing, right?
Word.
Even though they say life expectancy is whatever 80 something,
Yeah.
70, high 70s. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's be real. That's an average. That's an average number.
And plus, like after 60, it really depends on your health, like how mobile you are, what you're really doing for yourself.
Exactly.
If you're dependent or not.
But yeah, so that's why I think like you don't want too strict parents.
Yeah.
But you want them to be disciplined enough to let you make mistakes and learn from them, but not make horrible mistakes later on, or even in that age range, because there are some mistakes where you can like ruin your life.
Yeah, definitely.
In that age range,
for sure. So this is I feel like I have to ask this really interesting question. We're talking about how we should think like parents should be.
Without being parents ourselves,
because we're kids, right? But eventually we're gonna get to be parents, and knowing what you've done and what other kids do when they're outside, regardless of what you tell your parents, knowing what happens in circles, do you think that you'll be strict, or do you think you'll just let it play out, knowing what happens? Because that's hard, man.
That's a hard question, man.
That's hard.
You're diving deep.
Question.
No, but it's real though. Like, I think that's what makes parents do what they have to do. And then it just really messes with the kids in certain ways when they're too strict and when they're not strict enough. And I'm talking about like being like, when we get to, become parents ourselves, do we let them experience that? Like, cause we know what's happening. Like, it's not like we can avoid it. Unless they're homeschooled, even then.
You should let them know that you know what's going on, that you've grown to experience and see the same things that they're gonna see, they're gonna want to go through, and that should tell them more than enough. And you should just try disciplining them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even if you don't like point it out, like, oh, I know you're doing this, just say like, I've been here, like I've been in your age or whatever. Like I grew up in the society and I know what's going on.
Yeah,
I think that's like enough of a hint or whatever.
Because
like,
because every
Yeah.
us as parents, we're gonna know all the signs.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure my parents know the signs right now.
Yeah.
They know everything I've done.
Same.
They know everything
No
I've
doubt.
done. When I come home and they look at my face, they know.
yeah.
They know.
Yeah,
There's no hiding it.
especially
Okay.
your mother.
Especially my mom. Yeah.
Oh yeah, moms
You're
know
right.
everything.
You're right. There's no hiding anything from your mom.
Yeah.
Your dad, I think your dad knows too, but
He just doesn't say.
He
it.
tries
He
to
might-
play it off.
he might
Yeah.
stay a little quiet. He might stay a little
Yeah.
quiet.
So it's tough for sure. We can't always. Obviously, this is in hindsight, and when we were teenagers, we didn't know this as much as we know now. I guess a note to my past self would be, learn with them, grow with them. They're your parents. They're learning as you go, and you're learning as they go. It's a process for both of you.
You gotta
Exactly.
understand them as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't-
Be open to listening to them.
Right.
and make sure they're listening to you as well. Keep it an open-ended conversation.
Yeah, nobody's an expert on parenting.
Nobody.
Even though they have expert parenting books. Nah,
It's
There's no perfect way.
there's no perfect
'Cause
way.
it all
Every
depends
child's
on-
different.
on the child. Yeah,
Everyone's different. Yeah. There's like a reasonable way to do it, and then you hope for the best. But other than that,
Like
Other
going
than
back
that,
to what you
try your
asked,
best.
like, how would you do it yourself? You can't really. It honestly depends on the child. How I behave in a certain situation is gonna be a lot different than how my child may behave when
Mhm.
in the same situation.
well, you're
And then,
hopefully,
like-
hopefully you're raising your child to behave in a certain way, right?
Yeah, of course. Like you're gonna try to do that. So like you can get them to behave in a certain way, but of course like they're not gonna follow that every single time, right?
I think what happens is we might not see it in everybody, but the quote that I'm referring to, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I think it makes perfect sense in this situation.
Yeah, you're right.
Like as much as you want, you're gonna end up being like your parents.
Definitely.
It's just so, I guess maybe it's how we're fashioned to be like as humans.
Kids copy their parents.
Yeah, it's the first people they see in the day, what they do.
Yes.
And you know what's crazy? I've seen it in like little kids, and I'm like, bro, if your kid is acting like this, I know exactly what you're doing at home.
Exactly.
It's not hiding. You're not hiding anything.
Your kid curses.
I know what you're doing at home.
I know you
Exactly.
cursing.
And if your kid is like, super misbehaving, something's happening at home.
Yeah.
That's resulting in that.
Your kid is a reflection of you. right?
Exactly. So I know what's going on in your lives, everybody who has
Right.
kids out there.
Yeah.
So what's the verdict? What are we ending off at? Like, what strict parents, the good, the bad, the ugly. How should it be? Should you be super strict, moderate, a little strict? I'm gonna go with the Sama first. Keep it short.
This
Keep
might-
it short.
Okay.
Someone with the hard hitting facts.
Keep it short.
Okay, yeah.
Simple.
So this might change in the future, but like
Oh,
I
it's
think-
definitely gonna change. Go ahead.
I think you should be at a reasonable point, not too strict or not.
Safe answers.
Yeah, like
Mad safe.
and of course, and the other thing is like communication is key.
Oh
You
yeah.
have to communicate with the kid.
Be your child's best friend.
It's the key.
That's in any relationship.
What? I thought we were talking
Uh,
about parenting.
No, as in any relationship, like whether it be your siblings,
Oh,
your
yeah,
parents,
yeah, okay.
anyone. Communication
Yeah.
is the key.
Oh,
Your
okay.
friendships,
Oh,
everything.
okay.
Yeah, so like
Strong point.
make sure you communicate to speak to your child and and work together as a team on problems that you're having.
Yeah, I feel like we're missing a big factor here,
What's that?
right? Because your parents, they have to act as a team, right? So as you're raising your children,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be a team with your partner, right? So you got to have a game plan.
Together.
You got to work out every situation. You got to go, all right, I'm taking bad cop, good cop.
I was waiting for that.
I mean, I don't even know if that's a good.
I think it works.
Good.
I think it
It
works.
might work. It might work.
One
It might
person's
work.
definitely got to be the
Yeah.
bad person.
Yeah, but you got to game plan every situation, right?
Yeah.
You got to go through. All right, what did I do in my childhood? How did my parents react? Was it good? Was it bad? How do I got to improve on this? How do I make this situation better? Game plan. Everything got to be a game plan.
But I mean, you can't pre-plan everything. But
Yes,
I
you
get what you're
can.
saying. I get what
Yeah,
you're coming
you can-
from.
you
Like, it's
can-
just,
You can plan for it. It might not go as planned, but you
Yeah.
can plan for it, and that's the goal here.
Exactly.
So, any parents that are listening out there, I don't know if we have any parent listeners or soon to be parents. Let us know what you think of our verdict. You know, are you planning to be strict, or what would you do in a strict situation? And leave a comment, like, subscribe, follow. We're on all major streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts.
And not major, of course.
No, everything. Honestly, I looked through all of them.
Everything major?
Everything major.
All right.
Yo, we haven't heard of Stitcher, but it's big.
It is? All right.
Yeah, so Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us
Where else we at?
Instagram.
We have an Instagram now. What's the Instagram name?
at the North Court Podcast. Follow us.
The North Court Podcast.
The only one.
The only one. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got that name.
And I think that's a wrap.
That's
We'll
a wrap for
see you next
episode
week.
2. Wrap for episode 2. See you next week.